Recommended by the WWF. Tokumo Shoten and Hakuhodo and Topcraft present now the birth of a fresh, deep emotion. A romantic message to you from the future! Hello, I'm the Asian Film Fanatic. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind. Why do people destroy and hate? Why do they not love and show affection? What is the meaning of life? Why don't more movie trailers ask deeper questions like this? The story is about a princess named Nausicaa and her peacekeeping efforts in a post-apocalyptic world of warring kingdoms, hostile insects, and toxic infestation. The film is directed by the great Hayao Miyazaki, best known for his trademark themes and motifs of flying, environmentalism, and strong female protagonists. This is the second feature film he's directed, and is based on an original manga of his creation. The film only covers the first part of the book's longer, weirder, and more complex narrative, but never feels incomplete. Neither does it feel too long, despite its 2-hour runtime. Anyway, the movie is a whole nother version. The main characters Nausicaa interacts with are the wild Umu from the toxic jungle, Prince Asabel of Piji, and Princess Kushana of the antagonistic Tolmekians. There's a lot of themes going on in this movie: animal welfare, man versus nature, politics, pacifism, war, moral dilemmas, nuclear anxieties. But at its heart is the remarkably selfless and compassionate Nausicaa. When it comes to most admirable female heroines, she's at the top of my list. The soundtrack is composed by Joe Hisaishi, the first collaboration in a long career with Miyazaki. Half the music consists of some rather offbeat tracks, but the remaining score is filled with wonderful pieces to match the movie. Although the artwork and animation are good, I wouldn't say it's the most visually enticing fantasy backdrop. Full of ugly insects, rather plain costuming, and Euro-Arabian inspired medieval designs. Although the insect-inspired aircrafts are interesting, I don't find them very stylish. Fantasy sci-fi genres can come across as kind of weird at times. The anime style is kind of cute, which may be off-putting to some, but I like the friendly Ghibli style that developed during Miyazaki's TV years, where the setting lacks an appeal and makes up with everything else. The story is noble, inspiring, rich, compassionate, and well thought out. The characters are great, the scenes are striking and touching. In all, it's a really fantastic movie. Now I'm going to go over the entire movie with spoilers. We start with Lord Yupa discovering a village overrun by toxic spores. Hey, that's what my refrigerator looks like! Oh god, a sci-fi fantasy exposition. Basically, after the apocalypse, the plants, the sea, and the air become invasively toxic. On a tapestry backdrop, people fly away on boats, make giants, get destroyed by them, people die, flying bird jet thingies, giant pillbugs, spores, more people dying, and then, save us, Jesus, save us! That's just the opening credits. She's wearing pants, I swear, they're just beige colored. Besides that, it's refreshing to see female heroes' attire that's more practical than exploitative. While collecting samples from the toxic jungle, Nausicaa's attention is diverted by some gunshots. Those are pants! I'm a fan of Joe Hisaishi's score, but that synth punk's kinda jarring. I think he was still finding himself. She rescues Lord Yupa by calming the Omu. Yupa shows Nausicaa a wild fox squirrel named Teto, which reminds me of a fennec fox. To show she's not a threat, she calmly lets him bite her finger, thus winning the animal's trust and sympathy. It's a defining display of her character. Can I keep him? Truly, she has a powerful connection with animals. Heading back to the village, not only does Nausicaa take full flight, but Joe Hisaishi's score sweeps in as well. His orchestral pieces are fantastic. That evening, we're told the prophecy of a savior. Clothed in blue robes, descending onto a golden field to join bonds with the great earth and guide the people to a pure land at last. To the promised land! A swarm of insects force a Tolmekian airship to crash in the valley. Nausicaa rescues a survivor who is apparently under captivity. And not just a prisoner, but an abused one. She's Princess Resta of Pajit. Burn the cargo, she pleads before dying. Nausicaa assures her it's in flames. This is one serious anime. The next day, scattered debris reveals a large pulsating mass. Lord Yuba suspects it's one of the giant warriors that destroyed civilization. Suddenly, a squadron of Tolmekian ships invade. The soldiers murder Nausicaa's father, sending her into a rare outburst of rage. Her fury is stopped short by Lord Yuba, who blocks a sword with his forearm. You know that cliche where a hero catches a sword between their bare hands? Like, you're so cool. Those guys suck! Try stopping a sword with their flesh and blood! That's how awesomely badass Lord Yuba is. And he's not just a physical badass, but comes with a diplomatic rebuke. He calms Nausicaa to avoid a slaughter. Their commander, Princess Kushana, concedes to Yuba's points and settles for occupation. During this period, Nausicaa shares that growing spores off of clean air and water aren't toxic, suggesting the plants are actually filtering pollution. She confides to Yuba fears of what her rage could make her do, not wanting to kill anyone else. That's the short extent of her internal conflict. Those are pants! Nausicaa agrees to be a hostage en route to the city of Pajit. Some little girls run over to give her some Chico nuts. It gives the sense that she truly is a people's princess. A Pajit gunship ambushes the squadron. Nausicaa climbs out and cries for the killing to stop. We literally envision her as a symbol of pacifism, in a white gown with arms spread out. The pilot falters and gets shot down. Before escaping in a backup plane, she tells Kushana to get in. Nausicaa isn't perfect, but still is the type of person who has compassion for everyone and everything, even her enemies. That's admirable. They descend into the toxic jungle to meet the other ship. Nausicaa takes off her mask to tell her people to lighten their load, and they freak out. She just smiles and gives a thumbs up. That's a funny scene. Meanwhile, the insects are chasing the Pajit pilot. She rescues him but gets knocked down and swallowed in quicksand. We get a poignant flashback of Nausicaa as a little girl. In a golden field, her mom and dad call her over. They captured the child's perspective really well. Her dad looks like a giant. She runs towards something while being pursued by a sea of hands. Behind her back, she shields a baby Omu. It's not doing anything bad, she says, but her dad must kill it because it's an insect. She cries as they take it away. This pure and innocent love for all living beings and a sadness for those who suffer has defined Nausicaa's psyche since childhood. It's a great impressionistic depiction of a memory and one of my favorite scenes in the movie. She awakens in an underground cavern where the water and air are pure. This confirms her hypothesis. The pilot introduces himself as Asbel of Pajit, and later says Restel was his twin sister. The Valley crew returns with Kushana as their hostage. Nausicaa and Asbel fly to Pajit. Those are pants! The other Pajitans plan on provoking insects to attack the Tolmekians. Nausicaa says they're horrible. As a lesser of two evils, they can't let the Tolmekians have the giant warrior. Their intention is to save the world. They stop Nausicaa from leaving and even subdue Asbel. Kushana escapes and sees the villagers revolting. On the Pajit brig, Rastel's mother helps Nausicaa escape. Just as she's about to take off, a Tolmekian corvette hijacks them. Asbel pushes Nausicaa off at the peak of the chaos. Mito and Yuba appear just in time to shoot down the corvette. Lord Yuba drops down on the brig and keeps the soldiers at bay. Did I mention how awesome he is? Nausicaa races back to the Valley of the Wind while the Tolmekians and villagers stand off. Wait, I clearly heard her say, "Engine slow!" not idle the engines. Why can't we get accurate translations even in English to English? Sheesh. On their way back, Nausicaa and Mito witness the Pajitans lure a sea of angry omu with a baby impaled like a worm on a hook. That's cruel. Nausicaa tries reasoning with them to stop, but they just shoot at her. Finally, she confronts them with a defenseless stance. It's one of many strong visuals in this movie that's striking every time I see it. Nausicaa's representation of a sacrificial pacifist. The music strikes a good chord too. She drops down, crashing the platform. She apologizes to the baby Om with great compassion. Angry and confused, they head towards the acidic sea of decay. Nausicaa forces herself in to protect it, getting burnt in the process. The baby calms down and seems to empathize with Nausicaa's suffering. Unfortunately, the stampede continues. Holding a giant gun, Nausicaa tells the soldiers to get the vehicle back up. She's a badass. The Tolmekians draw the Omu in, but they soon get frightened. Just as they start running away, Kushana rides up in a tank. The giant warrior has awakened, but a bit prematurely. From its rotting jaws, a laser beam shoots and explodes with a horrific power as destructive as a nuclear bomb. That's a terrifying sight for Japanese audiences. But the Omu won't stop. The giant warrior melts down and dies. That's it? Was the giant warrior just some kind of antagonist MacGuffin? Nothing more than a failed show-off weapon that motivated conflict? In the manga, it's much more developed. Oh well, it's still an impressive spectacle. Nausicaa lowers herself down with the baby Om, but the herd is too enraged. They get trampled. The sea of angry Om turns blue. The princess has calmed the herd. The Om raise up Nausicaa's body, reaching out to her with their golden tentacles. Touching her wounds, she becomes enveloped in a golden glow. She's a Super Saiyan! Opening her eyes, her wounds have healed and she rises from the dead. Thank you. Arigashito, she says. That's the stuff that great movies are made of. It's a miracle. The prophecy has been fulfilled. Clothed in blue robes, descending onto a golden field to join bonds with the great earth and guide the people to the pure land at last. Amen. The wind returns to the valley, the villagers celebrate, the Om go away, the Tolmekians leave, and all is well it seems. The last image we have is a sprouting plant, a promising symbol of growth and hope, thanks to Nausicaa. So there you have it, a tale of a remarkable woman's sacrifice to save humanity, a cautionary of man's self-destruction and the disasters that follow when destroying nature. If anyone's looking for an amazing female hero, I would point to Nausicaa. She isn't just a female in the place of a male. Miyazaki has said he didn't merely make her someone who defeats an opponent, but a protagonist who understands or accepts. And that kind of person should be female, not male. I for one agree. When it comes to dealing with threat and conflict, Nausicaa often believes in the good of others. Her instinctive approach is to take a strong, vulnerable stance. She believes in pacifism and the value of life to the extent of injuring or sacrificing herself. Capable as an action hero, she's even more so a hero to our hearts. What a wonderful character. Love it or hate it, I admire the messianic parallel in Nausicaa. It's not so much about religious analogy, but the value of love and sacrifice. She doesn't have a character arc, but for me that's not always the litmus test of a great protagonist. It's her traits that appeal to me, her selflessness, her courage, her humanity. I felt a lot of pathos from her. She appealed to my emotions the way great cinematic characters are supposed to. Not that it's about some kind of internal epiphany, but where she stood, who she fought for, the challenges she faced, and how she rose above them. I'm the Asian Film Fanatic, and I'll see you in the Valley of the Wind.